recorded and can be viewed on the Smoky Barn website. Alderman, you can address the board when I call on you and should only speak one at a time. All votes will require a roll call. Mr. Ball has asked when you're called on to speak, pause a moment to allow him to get in position with the microphone. He will be moving around the room as needed. When speaking, be clear because with your mask on, you might have to talk a little louder. After the meeting is adjourned, please keep the required 6 feet apart and leave City Hall immediately. We are ready now for public hearings. The city recorder will report to the board at the appropriate time who she has spoken with regarding for or against a particular ordinance. First one up is Ordinance 2005, ordinance to amend zoning ordinance and zoning map by rezoning one parcel from A to RB, the Mays Farm. Is there anyone to speak for or against?
Yes.
Okay.
And it actually goes for this particular ordinance and the next one for the Watts. It's from Miss Jamie Blair, and she says, I really think the rezoning of the Mays Farm and Watts Farm needs to be postponed until a public hearing can be held on it. Even when it was Brandon Frank on the deal, I wasn't for it. Not because of traffic or growth or any of that stuff, but because through the years, I've seen flooding in the bottomland down there. And if you convert all that farmland to rooftops and concrete, you only increase the flooding, and no retention pond will bail it out because they are using the lake as their pond. Somebody eventually will build on this property. It does not need to be wall-to-wall homes, shops, apartments, and businesses. They are using that property as a developer's dream. We spend millions on the sewer system. We don't need to give it all away to one or two people.
And that's the same for ordinance 2006 to amend zoning ordinance and zoning map by rezoning one parcel from A to RB, which is a Watts Farm. The next one is ordinance 2009. Ordinance amending the zoning ordinance section 5.051 relating to the town center commercial district. Is there anyone to speak for or against?
Yes.
Can you just repeat her title?
I'm sorry?
Can you just repeat what she just said? Just a label of it.
Yes, this is in response to ordinance number 2009, the public hearing. And this is from Mr. Jody Doris. I am partners with Brandon Frank. Our investment partnership is the Verdian Group. We have spearheaded the effort to revive downtown Greenbrier, now known as Town Square Commons, Greenbrier. We have restored and modified historic buildings, updated infrastructure, and brought new businesses to the area, including our own business offices. All of this work has resulted in many new jobs in a town center that we can all be proud of. All of this work has resulted in many new jobs. I'm sorry, I just repeated that. Brandon and I have literally put it all on the line for our town. Although we have made great headway, we cannot complete all that is needed. It is important that we, being city officials, citizens, small businesses, builders, and developers, work collectively to further improve our town. I am not the most experienced or wealthiest investor in our town, but I am the youngest. So what I have to offer is perspective, the perspective of my generation. Since graduating from Greenbrier High School, I have watched hundreds of young professionals move from Greenbrier to surrounding cities, all stating that Greenbrier has nothing to offer them. My generation is starving for modern residential living options, specialty restaurants, professional office space, and infrastructure such as parks, sidewalks, and greenway space. This can easily be resolved by planned development, forward thinking, and cooperation of all the greater good. As our town grows, it is important that we have the foresight to understand the wishes and desires of current residents while attracting new residents and business. The proposed amendment to the Greenbrier zoning ordinance, Article 5, Section 5.051, is a blanket restriction of property that hinders positive growth, small businesses, and additional property tax and sales tax. The proper way to restrict property in commercial zoning is not solely by use, but rather than a design review board. A design review board should be the gatekeeper that requires new development projects to pay the admission fee to do a business in our area. The admission fee to do business in our town should be the requirement of high aesthetic standards. That includes irrigated, maintained landscape, sidewalks, lighting, masonry facade, and a plan to maintain the property for years to come. This admission fee is not paid directly to the city, but rather for the good of all citizens of our town. I have paid the admission fee. Please give others this same opportunity. All that I have discussed can be accomplished by establishing a planned design overlay of the CA district that will control all future development. Do not pass this blanket restriction. Establish a board to review all projects in our town, including mixed-use space, and enforce ordinance that require high aesthetic building standards. And also I have another one. I just gotta catch my breath. Phew. Okay, this is from Mr. Jim Moore of GS Moore and Son. Philip Doris and I would like to express our displeasure with the proposed ordinance to limit residential growth in commercial downtown zonings. Several recent redevelopment projects in the immediate vicinity are propelling Greenbrier towards having an active downtown atmosphere. We own a vacant lot at map 124A, parcel 13. And prior to purchasing, we met with city officials to discuss our residential development concept plat. That meeting was wholly positive, and we were given no warning of a potential change to downtown commercial ordinances. It is widely accepted among civil planners that residences in downtown areas create vibrant, walkable communities. While we recognize the urgency among citizens and officials to recruit a favorite restaurant or store, it is only after certain residency thresholds are met that those businesses will arrive. Controlling the residential growth through design standards is a far better approach to grow a downtown than to ban it altogether. An ordinance requiring construction materials to be approved by the Planning Commission or Building Commissioner would ensure consistent aesthetics. Parking to the rear of the lots and substantial landscaping are additional ideas to improve visuals. Our plan has both. Another idea would be to require mixed-use developments. Please reconsider this proposal. There are other methods to achieve the downtown area we all want. Let's explore them before making an informed decision.
Do you have any citizens' comments? No. Anyone? Okay. Now, I will call the July meeting to order. Will you call the roll, please?
Davis.
Here.
Deaver.
Here.
DeLong.
Here.
Doris.
Here.
Ballard.
Here.
Higdon.
Here.
Mayor Dawson.
Here. Please stand for a moment of silence for everyone having difficulties at this time, followed by a pledge of our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have a copy of the agenda before you. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Steve Higdon, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jeff DeLong. Call the roll, please.
Davis.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes.
DeLong.
Yes.
Doris.
Yes.
Ballard. Higdon.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. You also have a copy of the minutes from the June 1st, 2020 regularly scheduled meeting.
I didn't include those, Mayor.
You didn't?
I did not include those. They weren't completely ready.
I'm sorry, okay, then we'll have to defer to August for those then. Are there any presentations? Here.
I don't have a presentation. I have a question about the agenda for tonight. If you want to get the presentations over with, I just had a question about the agenda tonight.
Okay, what's your question?
Well, I asked, after we had the town square ordinance and it was passed on the first reading, I'd asked the board and yourself, if we could put this off and have this done when the citizens could be here and speak for or against. And everybody was in agreement that that's what we were gonna do. And here it is back on the agenda.
Well, we did
Tonight.
put it off 1 month, and that's what we're going to do, but you've heard the voices against it.
I understand, but I took everybody at their word, and everybody agreed that that's what we would do. And it's on the agenda for tonight. There's a lot of opposition. I don't know about y'all's phones. Mine's been.
Opportunity to call Rachel just like these people.
They can't call you because your number on the website isn't correct.
I don't go on the website. And Rachel wasn't this on the internet to call.
City Hall, call me, or
Yeah.
I'll get your comment.
Right.
I just wanted it, I'd asked that, and everybody was in agreement. And it's back on the agenda for tonight. There's several people that are for it. There's more that are adamantly against it. And in reference to it, I just wanted them to be able to speak their piece in person.
Well,
And
let me tell you something. August meeting will be just like this, and if I had to guess, I'd say probably the rest of the year. Because when you get to the end of August,
then what's the rush?
I'm not in a rush.
Okay. If there's not one, we're fixing to make a decision to restrict all building other than a church and a community.
That's not what
Yes.
it says.
Okay.
I've come up today and talked to Alex. I've seen-
I'm aware, I know I talked to Alex too. So you did get to see the plans of what was proposed. There was not any apartment buildings that were proposed.
Yes, there was. There is a condo over businesses between the barber shop and Mama Granny's Kitchen or whatever it is. And what I understand, there will be one store facing the street and the other stores will go down the side. They have to share the parking with the barber shop.
Right.
So my whole thing is from Drone Drive to Parker Avenue is not a big space. If people want to build that kind of stuff, go down the highway, go north to Springfield, go south to Ridgetop, build whatever you want.
I say no and restrict it so heavily before, I don't know if it'd be today or if it would be 6 months from now. If somebody comes in and purchases several of these houses up and down through here and they want to build something that is something good for this city, there's already a restriction against it because it's a blanket restriction.
You've got Franklin Farms with empty buildings. Who's gonna fill all these businesses?
My thing is,
Where they gonna walk to the crematorium and the,
I'll let you
they gonna walk to the crematorium and the funeral home? I don't see
Okay.
the way you're thinking.
Okay. Well, in all fairness, we have a planning and zoning department. Or-
What's in this for you, Chris?
There's nothing in it for me. What's in it for you? I look at it from this perspective. I'm not going off one
The
person.
city of
I'm not
Greenbrier.
going off of one person's view. One person's view of writing an ordinance, and it's good for the rest of the community. We have a planning and zoning board. This was not brought to the planning and zoning board. We have a codes officer who does not support this either. So you've got a planning and zoning board, why do they even exist? We just go around them?
I question that myself. You've got
So
two
you write an ordinance and just bypass it?
You've got two contractors on there,
Okay,
which is a conflict of interest to me.
So you just bypass the board?
They haven't said anything. You just said they had not.
It wasn't addressed to them.
Well,
It was written and put on an agenda for us.
that's right. I requested it because when I went to Mama's Kitchen to pick up food, they were remodeling upstairs. And my question was, is somebody gonna live up there? Because there's been a time that was not allowed.
I think that was about 25, 30 years ago.
No.
At one time,
That
at
was
one,
the other day.
no, I'm talking about when they first built the apartment of it, when Hassan owned it. But my thing is, if we're not in such a hurry, why are we taking one person's view and not addressing the planning and zoning, not getting their input?
Why shouldn't we, when four of us voted against it?
Okay, okay. We just got some messes to fix.
Well, it'll be entertainment next year for you.
It is.
Attorney Garnage, don't we need to back up and reapprove the agenda because this is a change? Everybody voted for it.
If we're gonna change the agenda, yes, you'd have to,
Well, we have a request to do that, so everybody voted for it going around, so I think we'll have to redo it.
Aaron,
Yeah.
Rachel's gonna go look and see if we did say we was taking it off the agenda.
What I said was, we can move it to next month. That's what the question was. Could we
No,
move it?
ma'am, I asked for us to hold it off until the public could speak for or against in person.
Okay, I understand, I can see where there's a mistake there, because I thought the public would be here this month. So I can see both sides of this right now. I see what you're saying, if I said we should put it off till the public's here, then that's but I understand now, if we said we were gonna put it off till next month while the public's here, then was in good faith that we said that.
I thought it was to put it off until the public was here.
That's
That's
what
that's what I remember.
That's exactly what I think.
I went back to the May minutes, and that's when
Okay.
Well, I thought,
We're going to amend the agenda. We now I'd like a motion for approval of the agenda with the amendment to take this item off the agenda. If that's what you want.
Just until the community can speak for or against, in person, here.
Now, do I have a motion to that effect?
Motion
To approve the agenda with taking that
to
off, right?
approve it, and we would take this ordinance off the agenda tonight until the public can be here and have a say-so into it.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Deaver,
yes.
Long,
yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Bag,
No.
Pigden,
Yes.
Mary Dawson.
Yes. That's settled. Move forward. This is information that I'm not really very excited to announce. Tommy Maitland has decided to retire after 42 years of service with the city of Greenbrier. He will definitely be missed. His contributions to the city are too numerous to state. He's so knowledgeable of every aspect of the city, and he has literally been the face of City Hall for a long time and has the respect of all who work here. I have appointed Rachel Slusser as the interim city administrator. We will internally advertise for the position beginning tomorrow. Rachel will, I'm sure, apply, so please go interview or talk with her. Talk to other employees and see what they have to say about her and how they relate to her If anyone else applies that meets the qualifications, I will get the information to you so you can interview them as well. The qualifications for a city administrator are graduation from an accredited college or university with a bachelor's degree, including or supplemented by accredited courses in accounting, business administration, political science, public administration, economics, or city management. A master's degree is preferred. A minimum of 7 years administrative experience in public administration may substitute years of experience with degree requirements at the sole discretion of the mayor. Just to refresh your memories regarding the title City Administrator, on November the 6th, 2017, Alderman DeLong made the motion to adopt, and Alderman Doris offered the second, and it passed the full board. The city administrator shall be appointed on the basis of his or her executive and administrative qualifications. The city administrator need not be a resident of the city at the time of the city administrator's appointment, but may reside outside the city while in office only with the approval of the board. The city administrator is under general supervision of the mayor. Instructions to the employees are general, and the employee must routinely use independent judgment when completing tasks. The employee must consider different courses of action and sometimes deviate from standard operating procedures. The work requires frequent contact with the mayor and board, committees, all department heads, employees, and the general public. The employee will follow the employee policy manual. Do any of the aldermen have communications?
The only thing I've got, I've seen a lot of chickens in Greenbrier walking free range in the middle of Greenbrier. I mean, that ain't a big deal, but then again it is, because we're not a rural community anymore. And that's basically all I got, but we need to do something about that. Maybe we need to look, I think it's Ordinance 12-02, I think, about the animals in Greenbrier. I think we're gonna have to revisit that sooner or later.
Chickens? You mentioned that too, Mr. Deaver, right?
Yes,
Okay. Look into that.
had several complaints.
Okay. Attorney Vernish, do you have communications?
No, I do not.
What about the, how long are you gonna post this, position, and how long is it gonna be open, and
It will be open through the month of July, and in August, they'll be brought to the board to either appoint Rachel, if she's the only one that applies, or if someone else. And I'll get qualifications to you if someone else applies for it.
because I was just wondering if there's going to be, if we could use the month of, if you're letting the applications run through the end of July, why not entertain the month of August, the applicants that apply, and then that way we get to meet them, ask them questions, and
What do some of the other board members think? You don't need an interim for too long. This is an important position, so you need to get somebody.
I understand, but there's also an election in less than 45 days, so, I mean, if she's named the interim, she's gonna be handling things for the next 45 days to begin with, or you would be overseeing, between the two of you, so, in your absence, she will be running the city, so I just ask if there's, so we have the opportunity to meet the candidates, do it in an open forum at our regular meeting.
Mayor, would we not do like we did when we hired the last police chief, how we interviewed police chiefs? You don't think we'll be able to do it like we did then? Because we all interviewed them, we all voted on which one we liked the best. We interviewed them individually. We had a meeting here on Saturday. We interviewed all the potential police chiefs. Then each one of us voted, and the fellow that won got the most votes.
I mean, I think that if if you allow the applicants through the end of the month, and then our first meeting, the 1st of August, we're supposed to vote on somebody that we never even met.
It's gonna be internal applicants only for the month of July. It's not going out, because we have to internally post it for all employees. And if there's nobody that's qualified within that group, then it would go outside of employees. That's per the personnel
We're
manual.
gonna fill the position on a full-time basis, only internal.
That's the way we advertise all the jobs, Chris. Internally.
Okay. Well,
That's what I said when I was reading this.
I disagree with that. I think that you need to open it up. I mean, the internal, employees can, apply as well, and they have a certain amount of time frame. But at August 1st, I think through either the 15th or the 21st, we need to entertain outside applicants and throw them all in. I mean, it's like you said, this is an important position. We need to fill it, but we also need to fill it and make sure that this important position gets filled correctly. Now, if we already have that person, that's fine, but we also need to open it up, broad spectrum, to anybody and everybody and allow them to apply.
If we go outside, aren't they assigned points through, like we did the police chief? You remember, in other words, everybody got such points, they did part of it, and then we did part of it?
Well,
Is
the
it-
qualifications are clear as to what you have to have, so.
Yeah.
And all jobs are advertised internally, so.
Yeah.
And if
Do
you
you
have
have
an
any other-
internal applicant,
Do you have any other, employees that make those credentials here? To work for the city? You should know, somebody should know.
I said not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Well, I think in all fairness, that we need to open it up and post the position. If you don't even, and you don't have to wait until then. I mean, you can do it now and post it and open it up, and then allow 5 to 7 days for internal applicants, and then open it up through the end of the month for outside applicants as well. And then at the end of the month, or the 1st of next month, we could meet these candidates at our next meeting.
Are we bound by state law to proceed a certain way, or?
No, I'm just telling you what's always been done. You advertise internally,
Right.
and you have someone qualified, so.
But you're saying to bring outside candidates in, that's not an option?
Not unless nobody's qualified internally.
Okay.
And Rachel's probably qualified.
Okay.
I mean, do any of y'all, the rest of the board have a problem with an outside applicant applying?
I like the idea of promote within. Just something I always feel strong about, promoting within. If you got people that you trust. I hate to see somebody come in from outside and take over. Chief Peck was my choice for the police chief last time for that very reason. I think the fellow that was there did a fine job, but I went for Chief Peck because Chief Peck had been here so long, and I felt like he'd been the man for it. Turned out he was anyways. So I have a problem with bringing someone from outside, if we've got somebody qualified.
Okay, well, I see the qualifications, but I also see it's not been her job. That is a role that she has not had. So this is going to be new as far as the job description for her, or unless one of the applicants from the outside is an assistant or possibly already a city manager or a city administrator from somewhere else that applies, has the qualifications and, or has the work experience to offset some of the, school or the education qualifications.
I understand what you're saying.
But I don't think that we should not open it up and exclude it because that's the way we always used to do it.
It's in our personnel manual, if you want to see it, that it'll open up for internal applicants first.
That's fine. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying that there's no reason that we don't open it up externally as well. You have a certain amount of time that the internal applicants can apply. You have that deadline.
Well, I feel like we made a mistake when we opened it up with the police chief. I'm not saying anything against that police chief, he did a good job, he did great. But I was against it because I believe in promoting within, just in my heart, I believe in promoting within. When we can, and I think that's what our rules are showing now, that we promote within when we can, right? That's what our policy is. I hate to change that policy. Otherwise, people that work here have nothing to look forward to.
And you have nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, nothing to look forward to. That gives somebody else a chance to take Rachel's spot, gives somebody else a chance to take their spot, take someone else. And I just feel strongly on promoting within. I understand your thinking, I really do.
It's just slamming the door on things before anyone gets a shot. You're saying no. And that's kind of like with this, earlier with our ordinance restrictions. I mean, you give a certain reason and that's fine, but, I only ask that it be open to anyone.
I don't know how the city's gotten by all these years when nothing's right anymore.
I'm not saying anything's wrong.
Well, it sounds to me like you are.
By wanting anybody to be able to apply for a job, that's wrong.
Rachel applies if one of the guys that digs ditches applies, he should have the opportunity to be interviewed internally.
Okay, but if somebody had the same credentials and lived in Springfield and wanted to be the city manager here, or if they lived in Ridgetop, they're not available. Well, go ahead.
I said, heaven forbid. You've got somebody that's qualified. She's worked how many years, Rachel?
Here,
13 years, and I think she knows what's going on. And I think she has the respect of the employees. And that's going to be the number one thing. You don't want to run off a bunch of employees. And that's what's going to happen. And probably Rachel will accept a lot less salary than somebody that's been on somebody else's town as city manager. They're not going to want to come here for what Rachel will want.
So you know that.
Chris, I know as much as you do. I've earned these gray hairs.
Just asking you to take other
You're
applications.
just being a smart behind.
I've asked you to take other applications. That's it. That's the only thing I've asked, is open it up.
We can waste all that time, and
I know. till you get
Rachel's
your way.
qualified.
We can run these until the 20th, and then from the 20th to the 31st, we can take outside applications, if that's what the majority wants. I'm seeing head shaking no, so.
I think anybody should be able to apply for a job. You tell me that you're against that,
I'm not here to argue with you. You need to step back and think of the city instead of what Chris
You
thinks.
have something against it.
Mayor, I think probably the correct procedure is for, Chris, you can make a motion.
I will make a motion that anybody be able to apply for the job. That's all.
Well, this is just for the procedure to interview people. It's not to vote on the.
Repeat what you said here, please.
Well, Rachel had said that it should be up for a vote, but I think all you're voting on is to decide the procedure to follow.
Meet the candidate.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all you're deciding, so.
Question and answer.
I mean, instead of just going back and forth and arguing about it, put it to a vote.
So then we don't need personnel.
Well, let me say this. I run a multi-million-dollar company, and this is the way we do it. We advertise inside. If we don't have someone, then we go outside. That's just standard procedure in the business world.
I don't see the problem with opening it up to anybody to apply. It's a vacancy, it's a vacant job, and it's a very important job. That is all I'm asking.
So if nobody else has the qualifications in the city, then Rachel will automatically get that job.
No, not automatically.
All right, well, let me finish.
Okay.
If you don't have anybody that can fill her job, then you're gonna have to go outside and get them, aren't you?
Probably.
So what's the difference?
Well, again, if you have someone qualified, you don't have to go outside. There may be someone qualified to take the finance position.
I feel like Rachel's been teaching somebody to take her place all along. I just feel like that's the way you've managed from the beginning.
But if we get the education,
Well, we'll just have to see.
the qualifications is already there. She's set them in place with her qualifications. They're gonna have to meet her qualifications to take her job, as far as I'm concerned. Or you're gonna have to go outside.
Well, that job has qualifications too, so.
Do we have current job descriptions on file, or
Yes.
they are they? Weren't you at one time looking to have someone come in and write some new ones?
The salary survey people are going to come.
Salary survey?
And the engagement letter with them has already been sent back to them. They should have that done October-ish, I think.
Mayor, what about this? It's exactly 2 months to the election. We're gonna have a new mayor. Let the mayor hire who he wants. You've appointed her as an interim.
Right.
She can run the next 60 to 75 days until then. And she'll be under you.
I think it still needs to go before the board.
Yes, and I agree.
So like we said, right now, in the August meeting, she would, if she's the only one that applies, it would come to the board to either make her the city administrator or not. It'll be up to the board.
Right, and the only thing that I was asking was outside employees or outside people would be able to apply. And I wanted to use August to be able to meet anybody that applies for this job.
I don't think there's any reasoning with you. I think the way it sits is we advertise internally, and then we see what we have at the end of July. We've got old business. We have ordinance 2005, ordinance to amend zoning ordinance and zoning map by rezoning one parcel from A to RB, known as the Maze Farm. This is the second reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Steve, is there a second? Jeff, call the roll, please. Or is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Before you, Mayor,
I'm sorry.
has there been any further discussion about the entrance and exit to that property?
The Maze Farm,
Yes.
they have a rather elaborate plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since we last looked at it, has that changed?
Yes, quite a bit.
Okay,
They're doing it a different way.
okay.
Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Bag,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Ordinance 2006, ordinance to amend zoning ordinance and zoning map by rezoning one parcel from A to RB, known as the Watts Farm. This also is a second reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Jeff, the discussion? Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Bag, Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. The next item has been moved. It's Ordinance 2010, ordinance to increase the water and sewer rates, second reading. Every year, the city of Springfield increases their rates for us, and unfortunately, the increase has to be passed on to the users of Greenbrier. This ordinance calls for a 6% increase in water and sewer rates. The difference of the average bill for inside city limits of $4.36 per month, and for outside city limits, $4.55. The average bill is calculated at 5,000 gallons. Just so you know and have all the facts, listen carefully. If the water and sewer account shows a loss for 2 consecutive years, the sitting mayor and board of aldermen will have to go before the Water and Sewer Board of the state of Tennessee and explain why. The city had a loss in 2019, and I'm pretty sure you'll have another one this year because 276 residents have not paid their water bills since March, which is over $60,000. Do I have a motion to approve the 6% increase? Jeff, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second it.
Discussion?
What are we doing about the $60,000 in arrears?
Well, that's just it. They're gonna have to pay, it's got to be caught up, so they have to pay so much a month, you know, on a plan to get it caught up, or it'll sit there.
Where are we at with our sewer plant? Who's in charge of the sewer department or public works? And, because I know we had 78 overflows last year. I'm just wondering with this ordinance and this increase in the water and the sewer, I just want to know who
Well,
to.
8% was proposed, and you all adopted 6% in the first reading.
And the
8% would have helped, because other than the water rate, guys, you have expenses. You've got leaks, you've got overflows, you've got things that have to be taken care of.
I
So
understand
the
that,
other
but I also
2%
know
would have made a difference. Well,
I understand that, but when Guthrie goes up, and Springfield passes it on to us at
Right.
6, I don't understand why we could literally raise it 2% on the same water.
I just gave you the reason, expenses.
I get that, but
There was an article in the Connection where Springfield mentioned supplies, salaries. Nothing was ever mentioned about the water going up. It was just everything else, and I thought, so are we having to pay for their supplies and stuff?
Ryan Martin told me that the increase was the water being purchased from Guthrie.
I
He's
didn't say that.
a liar too.
But this don't have anything to do with the sewer plant.
Yeah, I'm just asking about the sewer plant, where are we, have we been inspected yet? Are we online?
We have a bid opening, I think Thursday, for 2 screens, because the amount of trash that's coming through is breaking our plant, and it's those flushable wipes that they're having a problem with. And I did put it on Facebook, don't flush them, because they eventually degrade, but not as soon as they hit the water. So the decanter went down last week. We had to fix that, so we have to put out a bid for 2 screens, and that's probably gonna be over $200,000 of money out of our checking account. So this is,
I know this doesn't have anything to do with this particular water and sewer, the rate increase, but we don't have any, I just need some answers to some of these water sewer questions.
Well, last month I told you what the state said about the moratorium, how long it lasts. And until the overflows are corrected less than 5 a year, it will continue.
Yeah, I just know, but since 2014, we've increased rapidly. And that's the one thing is the importance was the sewer plant, and the importance of making sure that it's inspected online and we're ready to go. That makes a heck of an effort to the state that we are desperately doing something.
it's more than that. It's more than just inspecting it and getting on online with the overflows. I talked to him last week. It's a lot more than just doing that.
And I sat in a meeting with the TDEC people also, and they don't want to hear that as an excuse, that you're making an effort. They want it fixed completely. So that's what the effort is right now, try to
And we
get
put
there.
that, and most of that we put off on the builder. A lot of the builders take care of the infrastructure and update the infrastructure.
I'm sorry, I didn't know the first part of that.
A lot of our new buildings and the builders are updating our infrastructure with their new businesses that come in. Our updated infrastructure is, all that is passed off on the builder, correct?
The builder, all they pay for is the taps.
And updated lines to connect.
Yes, but that's a house or whatever. I mean, we won't supply
House or
the pipe
business.
from the tap to their house.
Right, but we're responsible, or whoever is responsible, the city is responsible from the tap back to the line, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything on the opposite side of the house,
Right.
the meter, the road side, I guess,
Yeah.
is the city's.
And who is in charge of public works?
TJ is right now.
Huh?
TJ is, right now.
Interim?
Well, not interim, he's my go-to person.
We've received a proposal for a rate study on the water and sewer rates, and this is an independent third party to evaluate rates for water and sewer to determine where we are. they would do a cash flow analysis and a change in net position analysis. So that's something to be considered. And sounds like probably need to do. We're also looking for an interim licensed distribution operator for the water department. Tommy was the one the city had, and by state law, we have to have one because we distribute water. 2 of our current employees are scheduled to test in November. However, the state has given the city 30 days to get someone. This interim operator is not a permanent employee. Our engineer has contacted TAUD, the Tennessee Association of Utility Districts, for assistance, and met with a young man today who's aware of this and is willing to try to help us find somebody. But we've got 30 days. We have to have it, because those reports cannot be signed by anyone other than a licensed distribution operator.
Is this a position that will be filled part-time up until the,
What I just said, this interim operator is not a permanent employee.
okay, and so you're just more or less,
If we can get someone, the gentleman I met with today, Rachel and I met with, knows someone who does this, and he was hoping maybe he would help us out, but we have to try to contact, we've got 30 days, which is not much time to get somebody.
Could you go to another municipality like Springfield and get them?
Yeah, and that's what this is someone who's retired and does this on the side, sort of, so that's what we've got to find somebody, because there are reports to be signed right now, and no one to sign them, because it has to be a licensed distribution operator. So we'll move forward trying to find somebody to do that for us. Okay, we move to new business. The first ordinance.
We never voted for the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's lost in all. Okay, we did get a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Davis,
yes.
Deaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Dye,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Ordinance 2011, ordinance to amend Municipal Code Title 9, Chapter 2, Section 9-201, peddlers. This is a first reading. No person, firm, or corporation shall operate as a peddler, transient vendor, solicitor, or street barker, and no solicitor for subscriptions shall solicit within the city unless the same has obtained a permit from the city in accordance with the provisions of this chapter. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Chris. Second, Deaver. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Deaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Dye, Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Resolution 20-03, resolution to update the current purchasing policy. Only one reading on this. This purchasing policy dated July the 6th, 2020 repeals and replaces any and all previously adopted purchasing policy or policies or procedures. The change is changing the purchasing representative and setting a limit on what is approved at the department head level. Current purchasing representative is the city superintendent. This changes to city administrator, and currently no limit is stated for department head approval. This puts a cap on it at $500. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Chris, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Billy Ray. Discussion?
Is the credit card still kept under lock and key?
Yes. Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Deaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Dye,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Resolution 2005, resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of Cemetery Road. There'll be only one reading on this. Interested persons have petitioned the extension of its corporate limits by the annexation of certain territory adjoining its existing boundaries and within its urban growth boundaries by owner consent, and a plan of services for the territory proposed for annexation by owner consent has been reviewed by the Greenbrier Planning Commission. The public hearing is hereby scheduled for 7 p.m. on Monday, August the 3rd, 2020 at Greenbrier City Hall on the proposed annexation of territory by owner consent and plan of services. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Chris, is there a second? Steve, discussion? Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Deaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Fag, Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Resolution 2007, resolution to retire job title of superintendent or city superintendent, only one reading. Currently, numerous policies and forms state superintendent or city superintendent, and to save time from changing all policies and forms, the job description and position of superintendent, city superintendent is hereby retired. In the future, should the position become necessary, the Board of Mayor and Alderman are required to pass a new job description with a majority vote. In any current policy or form of the City of Greenbrier, superintendent or city superintendent shall be replaced with city administrator. Do I have a motion to approve? Steve, a motion, second? Second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Deaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Fag, Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Next item is discussion of the sale of 2534 Highway 41 South property. It was, if you remember, surplus last month. Instead of an auction, we have an offer from the adjacent landowner to purchase for $12,000. The city does have more than that in the property because we had to tear down the building that was there. When we purchased it, it had a building on it and was valued higher on the tax records. Now it is land only and the value is significantly less. And this is the lot, I think, between Bargain Depot on that side, between it and the house.
And we had it appraised.
$4,300 on the tax record.
Yeah, the tax records are a little over $4,000.
Appraised, or is that tax records?
That's tax records, but it's not, really and truly, it's not a value to anybody but the adjacent landowner.
Did it have to have a motion, or we need to go in and discuss it, or?
No, I'm saying we have an offer from the adjacent landowner to pay us $12,000 for it, so I need a motion to
that we
approve.
accept the offer and let them buy it. For that, I mean, it's 3 times, they're offering 3 times what it's worth.
Is there a second
Second.
discussion?
I don't, we just talked about surplus land going to auction. And I think that's what it really needs to do, just to be fair to everybody else and not make it look like we're making deals with certain contractors. If we make an exception for this one, are we gonna make an exception for the next guy that needs an exception to the rules?
Actually,
If they
last
want it,
month-
if they buy it on auction or whatever? I don't know.
Last month, it was decided to put it on Gov Deals. And so there was no response from Gov Deals.
Nobody actually-
Yeah. And when we bought it, I was there. Nobody, the auctioneer bid it in, is actually what happened.
It's terrible.
Yes, even if you put it up for auction, you got to pay the auctioneer as well, so that's another expense you're gonna have. So,
So we'll make this in the future, we're gonna do this more though, right? If it comes up, we're not gonna auction anymore.
Oh, I don't know, I'm shooting somebody else.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, it depends, I guess, on what it is. you have another situation that'll be similar in the coming months,
You
probably.
almost have to.
Yeah.
You almost have to, if you did it this way this time.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
Question.
Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
DeLong, Doris,
Yes.
Bag,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes,
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Finance section adjustment, to water and sewer account is $9,980.87 due to $7,549.75 being charged to Dometic for pretreatment. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Steve, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Billy Ray. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Bag,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes. Just a reminder, once again, if you've not taken the time to fill out your census, please do so, because that is what determines the monies a city receives from the government. And also, one other reminder, the meeting tonight can be viewed on Smoky Barn website. Once again, if you have any questions, please contact either your alderman or city hall, because the August meeting will also be a recorded event. We are under the governor's executive order to conduct meetings in this way through August the 29th, 2020. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
One question.
Yes.
A former employee here in the Public Works is a contractor here, but he does meet all your criteria for that. He was an employee here, so if it's a part-time and he's familiar with it, and that's Bob Murphy.
Oh, for the interim,
Yes, ma'am.
license, is he licensed?
Yes, ma'am. The city of Greenbrier sent him to do it. So, and he's just right down the street and he's familiar with it, so, I mean, that's an option too. So, I wouldn't want it to be that there's anything going on, but he was a former employee here and is familiar with it. So if that's why I was asking if it's just a limited hours or
It's just
their
an
role.
interim position, because we have the 2 employees that are going to take the test in November, so.
And I don't want to speak on his behalf, I just know that he may not even be interested in it, I just know that he was certified, so.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who was the second?
Call the roll, please.
Who was the second?
Billy Ray.
Davis,
Yeah.
Seaver,
Yes.
DeLong,
Yes.
Doris,
Yes.
Bag,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.